Really? This is how we're presenting the national anthem? This is how we're showing our respect for the men and women who sacrificed their lives for this country. This is how we're showing our appreciation for the families who lost loved ones so Chad and Brad had the freedom to tickle each other with their beards. I expect to see this disgraceful display at one of those doofus No Kings protests, which, by the way, all of you who wasted your weekend sweating your ass off protesting this supposed monarchy, I want you to listen to Uncle Casey very carefully. I know there's a bit of an echo in the room. I'm not in my usual studio, but I'm going to say this very clearly so you'll understand. I don't want you to waste another weekend protesting against something that does not exist. So listen closely. America doesn't have a king. Anyway, I expect to see something like this at a peaceful protest. I expect to see the transgender flag, the gay pride flag, the Palestinian flag, the Mexican flag, the BLM flag. Hell, I expect to see every flag at a peaceful protest except the American flag. Unless, of course, it's being used to start a bonfire with a Prius. What I do not expect is to see this disgrace from a league that calls themselves America's pastime, even though Major League Baseball hasn't been America's pastime for the better part of 20 years. They still pretend like they're America's pastime, though. What I do not expect is to see the transgender pride flag during the playing of the national anthem at a Major League Baseball game, followed by bearded Brad and his obese husband passionately smooching next to a group of identifiers who were questioning their gender. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the main channels in the description below. Over the weekend, the New York Mets, they were swept by the Rays from the Tampa Bays. This weekend series was surprising for a couple of reasons. Number one, I did not realize the Rays were still a Major League Baseball team. Judging by their attendance, the team in Tampa should be part of the WNBA's expansion by becoming the newest dump. But the main reason the series was surprising was because of how the New York Mets chose to celebrate Pride. As you guys know, we are halfway through the month of woke Christmas. For most of us normal people, June can't end fast enough. Not only is the summer heat miserable, we're also surrounded by pride parades and doofus protesters angry about some mythical king. Throughout the month, there have been various Pride celebrations in Major League Baseball. The Boston Red Sox celebrated Pride by having drag queens perform. Unfortunately, they didn't have the budget to book the Queen of Queens, RuPaul. But if you're interested in seeing RuPaul perform, you can watch Ru on that drag racing show that's airing on some network that no one's ever heard of. While it was a bit strange to have drag queens performing at Fenway Park, I don't know how drag queens are associated with baseball. I don't see baseball players striking out on RuPaul's Drag Race. Of course, it would be hard for baseball players to strike out on that show since every queen would be willing to date them. But anyway, while it was a bit strange to have drag queens performing at Fenway Park, they managed to keep it somewhat respectful. The queens were fully dressed and they weren't prancing around during the national anthem. Can't say the same for the New York Mets, who decided to display their pride by flying the transgender flag during the playing of the national anthem. A short while later, they decided to entertain the kids with the kiss cam. Watch for yourself. You know, this has become so normalized. Disrespecting America has become so normalized, it doesn't even make the news anymore. People have become so desensitized to pride. It's the equivalent to your neighbor's dog dropping a load in your front yard. First time you step in the turd, you're pissed off about it. Second time, you might even confront your neighbor. 3 months later, it doesn't even bother you anymore. You actually appreciate your neighbor's dog for supplying complimentary fertilizer to your grass. Think about how much has changed in the last 5 years. During the Obama administration, people's biggest concern was whether or not Barry was born in America, or if he was praying to Allah 5 times a day. Now we've got kids running around pretending they don't have a gender. We've got schools hiding critical information from parents. And what are our sports leagues doing? Instead of staying out of it, instead of fighting against it, they're celebrating their pride. You can't take a kid to a baseball game in June without being inundated with pride. How long before it spills over into July, August? How long before we are celebrating pride 365 days a year? You tell me. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.